Let's go back to 2024, a couple months before the election. What was one of the biggest issues on everyone's mind when they were coming to their voting? It was immigration. It was lack of deportations. It was all the illegals just flooding over the border, and the fact that Democrats and the Biden administration did not want anything to do with it. They didn't want to fix the problem. Well, if you want to make the argument, in March of 2024, he attempted to by pushing through this bipartisan bill that all it did was bring them in faster, then yes, he attempted to fix it during election year, and then blame Republicans for not getting it done because he said he can't do it by executive order, right? So why don't we look at what Trump did his first few months by executive order? So this right here, February 2024, 1,800, let me zoom this in a little more, 1,893 encounters just last February. This February, 11,000. No one's coming through. That's how you solve a problem. Now, why do I bring this up? Democrats still have not learned anything. So this says, inside Democrats scramble to travel to El Salvador per Axios. Democrats are rushing to organize trips to El Salvador as President Trump refuses to comply with a Supreme Court order to facilitate the return of a Maryland resident who was erroneously deported to the country. So this is big talk in the news lately. What is his name? His name is Kilmar Abrego Garcia. This is all the Democrats have been talking about, saying he was wrongfully deported, shouldn't have been, blah, blah, blah. So this is what the Democrats are focusing on. So this says people like Maxwell Frost are interested in going down. Chris Van Hollen is going down. Cory Booker is scheduling a trip. So they haven't learned anything. They're focusing on illegal migrants. So they mentioned right here, Supreme Court ruling order to facilitate. Let's look into that. So I asked Grok to basically break it down. So does the Supreme Court's 9-0 ruling force the U.S. to bring him back? I was already asking him questions, so that's why I just said bring him back. The U.S. Supreme Court's 9-0 ruling on April 15th does not force the United States to bring Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia back to El Salvador in the sense of mandating his physical return. Instead, it requires the U.S. government to facilitate his return to the extent that the authority has to. The court clarified that facilitate means taking feasible steps within U.S. control, such as diplomatic efforts or removing domestic borders, but it explicitly distinguished this from effectuate, meaning the U.S. is not obligated to guarantee his return if El Salvador, a sovereign nation, refuses to release him. This is the thing that people are not talking about. The president of El Salvador, Bukele, said we're not gonna release him. We're not bringing him back. So what is Trump supposed to do in this situation? Like, do they want Trump to invade the country, to kidnap an El Salvadorian citizen and bring him to America? Yeah, all these people are acting like Trump's going to start all these wars, but I guess that's what they want Trump to do. Yeah, he doesn't have any right here. Bukele could offer him up, but Trump doesn't have to force him to do that. So a lot of you have probably never heard of this man before. Senator Chris Van Hollen. He is a senator of Maryland. A lot of you, if you're listening from Maryland, have probably never heard this man before. As a Maryland resident myself, I can tell you this man is 100% useless. So now he's trying to make a name for himself. Let's watch this little video by him real quick.
I'm here at the airport. I'm about to board my flight for San Salvador. The goal of this mission is to let the Trump administration, to let the government of El Salvador know that we are going to keep fighting to bring Abrego Garcia home until he returns to his family. I hope to meet with representatives of the government. I hope to have the chance to actually see Kilmar and see what his condition is. But we are going to keep fighting because this is a miscarriage of justice. The Supreme Court has ruled 9-0, that he was illegally taken out of the country and put in a prison in El Salvador. And this is about due process. This is about rule of law. What bullies do is they begin by picking on the most vulnerable. But if we get rid of the rule of law and due process in the United States, it's a short road.
So effectively, what Chris Van Hollen, one of the most useless senators on the planet, is saying here is that he's going to use your tax dollars to fly down to El Salvador to do a photo op. That's what he's doing, to protest Trump. And what's crazy too is it says he's leaving Wednesday. Senator Booker is also planning a trip, and he's flying separately. So that's more tax dollars being spent to send these people down there just for a simple photo op. And I believe they were in talk of trying to get more security too through your tax dollars. So in this article, this was the original article where it was just a rumor. Now it's like full on they're doing it. Like Van Hollen is doing it like within a few hours of this video being posted. And it said something about wanting to get security. Like I guess they're scared right here. A CODEL would provide the members of crucial oversight powers and security purposes. They need committee's chair approval. I don't know if they've gotten it yet. I don't think it says it in the original article. But essentially, they're going to use your tax dollars to go down there. Now, what is frustrating as a Maryland resident myself, Chris Van Hollen is putting this much effort into this, right? Senator of Maryland. You guys remember Rachel Morin? Woman that was killed by, ironically, an El Salvadorian illegal migrant in 2023. Killed and assaulted. So yesterday, funny, on the same day, he was found guilty of it. And I believe he's going to spend his life in prison, in an American prison, even though he's foreign. Was convicted of first-degree murder, first-degree assault, third-degree sex offense, kidnapping. So this happened about an hour from where I live. So this is like really close to home. She's only 37 years old. She was walking on a trail. Her life ended from a guy that should have never been here in the first place. And this even says, too, authorities also accused Martinez Hernandez of entering the U.S. without authorization in February 2023 after allegedly doing this to a woman in his own country. And he was still allowed in here because of Joe Biden. That's crazy. So I asked Brock if Chris Van Hollen, since this is Maryland, that famous murder happened in Maryland, has he ever made a statement about it? So it says, yes, he did on April 15th, which was yesterday, which was the same day he announced he was going to El Salvador. So it's kind of like he was probably covering his ass there. Like, oh, this happened in my state. I got to make a statement for this now. So he said, while the conviction of Rachel Morin's killer will not return Rachel to her family where she rightfully belongs, this verdict brings a measure of justice that they so deserve. I'm grateful to the law enforcement officers who brought the killer into custody and for our legal process for delivering this justice. As I have said in the past, the American people deserve meaningful action to reform a broken immigration system, which you did not care about, improve public safety, and strengthen our border security. So I asked, is this the only statement he has ever made about her? Based on the available information, the statement issued by Chris Van Hollen on April 15th regarding the conviction of Rachel Morin's killer appears to be his only public statement specifically addressing Rachel Morin. That's crazy. This happened 2 years ago in his state. He never said one thing about it. But now he wants to fly to El Salvador to save this man who's allegedly connected to MS-13, who is in this country illegally. He's going out of his way to use your tax dollars to go there to do a photo op with this man. But an American citizen had her life ended by an El Salvadorian immigrant, and he did not say one thing about it. That's where his priorities are. They're not with you. They're with illegals. Unfortunately, Maryland is the bluest state on the planet, one of the bluest states, so he probably has his position for life, unless something significantly changes. But this is the kind of person he is. Scott Jennings being hired on CNN is probably the best thing they could have ever done. He basically pointed out how this is stupid the Democrats are focusing on this.
The point they're making, the political point they're making, is quite clear. If you're a violent person, if you've broken our immigration laws, We're here to keep Americans safe, and our opposition is apparently currently organizing congressional delegations to go to El Salvador to try to bring illegal aliens back to the United States. It's politically crazy.
Scott, he has not been criminally charged.
So?
What about due process? That is a
order.
Constitutional right that anyone in this country
If you want to
has.
die on this hill, be my guest. It's political malpractice to send Democrat members of Congress to El Salvador to retrieve illegal aliens.
It's his senator from his state. He is from the state of Maryland. He lives in El Salvador. He lives.
Yeah, he pointed out the thing that liberals don't have, which is common sense, is like, why are you putting so much attention on this one illegal migrant? That's not even a citizen here. He didn't vote for you. You're not representing him. You're representing the taxpayers that are funding your trip down there. That's crazy. You're like, the Democrats constantly have it backwards on who they're supposed to be representing. And it just baffles me that they still, after all this time, still have not learned why they lost the election. Like, this is such a big issue to people, and they don't get it. And Kamala Harris is president right now, all these people would still be pouring in. Things would still be getting more dangerous. And they don't care. They don't at all. And they continue to prove that. So I want to go back into a little bit more about Chris Van Hollen's background to show how useless he is. He received a 0% rating for the Citizens Against Government Waste, which means he loves to spend your tax dollars, as he's showing by going to El Salvador, and from the National Taxpayers Union in 2010. So basically another group that measures how your tax dollars are spent. So this is his congressional scorecard. His lifetime score is a 16% based on how good of a person he is. So it says, the Congressional Scorecard is a nationwide educational program of the John Birch Society. Its purpose is to create an informed electorate on how members of Congress are voting. The scorecard is nonpartisan. It does not promote any candidate. The bills are selected for their constitutional implications, cost to the taxpayers. Basically, you're the lower the score, that's the more they don't care about you. So his score from 2023 to 2025 is a 3%. His lifetime score is a 16%. So he's only getting worse. And he's just so useless. You know, I don't know what else to really say about him. I think this whole thing the Democrats are doing to do a photo shoot, to protest Trump, whatever you want to call it, is just an absolutely huge waste of time, a huge waste of taxpayer dollars. And it just really, truly shows where their priorities are. Their priorities are not with you, the taxpayer, with you, the voter, with the people they represent. Their priority is just to do anything the opposite of Donald Trump. That's all it comes down to. Donald Trump could come out tomorrow with a cure for cancer. They will go and tell you how good cancer is for you. They will oppose it. They don't care at all. They just have to do everything possible to be the exact opposite of Donald Trump. And it's going to keep losing them. And they don't realize this, like how unpopular their view is on immigration. Like, immigration was one of the number one issues people were voting for. This is why Trump wanted people back in office. And a lot of us are actually disappointed because we want the deportation numbers to be higher. They're actually a little low, which is a little different because basically when Biden was doing some deportations, it was basically like, we'll take them in Texas and then just send them back. Trump has to actually go find them. So it is a little more effort he has to put into. But yeah, so they could definitely be higher. But yeah, this is exactly what the people voted for. It's what people want. People want deportations. People don't want illegals in the country. And Democrats to this day just aren't getting that. And it's insane to me. But let me know what you guys think about this whole situation of the Democrats focusing so much on this one guy, like all their energy, and just they clearly don't care about you, right? They don't care about anybody they represent. They care about this illegal because they gotta be anti-Trump. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, and I'll catch you next time.